Another episode of JewCast. What's up, everyone? Andrew, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, we have a spicy episode this week, I think. We have Dave Reilly of the Backlash podcast. Dave Reilly, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on, guys. This is going to be fun.
It's always fun. You got two Jews and two Italians. Last time we did that, we launched a whole ass mafia, dude. Like we're ready to rock. Like we could take over the world. Yeah. This is the new Illuminati you're seeing right here. We should do this. We should like form a club, and this is the beginning.
Maybe
this is the start. This is the start, man. So, brother, tell us a little more about yourself.
Yeah. Well, thank you. So, I mean, I live in North Idaho, Coeur d'Alene. Beautiful area. If you've never been, you've got to come. It's great. You can go. We'll take you out on a boat, maybe. No accidents, by the way. We will not have a boating accident. But yeah, so I work up here. I'm a political activist. I ran for school board in 2021. I ran for governor in 2022 as a Democrat to prove the point that crossover voting is a problem. That subsequently has led to the Republican Party kind of locking down their primaries and ensuring that only registered Republicans are like participating. Are participating in the primary. And so I've also engaged in a lot of independent journalism up here with some of my friends, Casey Whalen being one of them. He's done some tremendous work up here. I keep on fighting. And it's been quite a ride, quite a journey. Now, of course, doing the Backlash podcast with my co-hosts, Rebecca Hargraves and Vincent James. We are on every Wednesday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific time, and we also do interesting interviews on Mondays. And if you're interested, you can go to the backlash.net/superchat. Or not sell. I'm reading what's on the dang TV down here. Just the backlash.net if you're interested.
Now, I promised Dave that we'd talk about Ben Shapiro, and I want to get into that too. But just before we do you consider yourself a noticer, Dave?
I am a noticer. I am a pretty committed anti-Zionist, and that might get me in trouble on this program. I'm not sure. But I think that America.
What is your definition of anti-Zionism, though?
Or Zionism in general? What's the definition of a Zionist?
Well, good question, right? I guess a Zionist would be, a person that believes that the Jews have or should have a homeland, specifically in the Middle East, in Palestine. And I don't agree with that. I think that in 70 AD, the Jews got kicked out and they've been banished to live as a diaspora people among the Gentiles, if you will, until they come to realize that Jesus is the Messiah, that he is the King of Kings, Christ is King, and that the promised land is not a spit of desert in the Middle East, but it is actually heaven, where everybody who gets baptized and leads a life and dies in the state of grace, we can all attain that promised land in heaven. So I am not a Christian Zionist. I'm a Catholic. And of course, if you go all the way back, you would see that Pope St. Pius X did not give sanction to Theodore Herzl's project. And I guess, it's an interesting, the whole thing is an interesting topic, right? Like, was it really Israel, the founding of Israel? Was that really like an imperialist project? Was that something that was done by, England for their own hegemony in the Middle East? Was that something that was done by Jews? These are all interesting topics that I think are up for discussion anymore. And it's stuff that we talk about on the Backlash.
I have a great question. I have a question. Might not be a great question, but I have a question to that great statement. So you look at Jews are banished to live among the Gentiles until they accept Jesus. So they're being replaced by a group that, they worship Allah or Muhammad. So they're not exactly believing in Jesus. So why would you replace one non-Jesus believer with another non-Jesus believer who I can argue has had more conflicts with Christians in the past? What would be the reconciliation of that?
I would be supportive of the refoundation of the Kingdom of Jerusalem. I think that maybe the Vatican should send out the papal army. Well, we don't have the papal armies anymore, but if we did, we could maybe we'd do a little Reconquista action over there, take it back, rebuild the churches that have been
Trump Towers.
I don't know about that, but some golden churches would be tremendous. The big dome,
Tremendous.
I mean, I think that it is interesting. Israel does play a significant role, or Israel, Palestine, whatever you want to call, occupy Palestine. There are the sites there, like where the crucifixion happened, where Christ was born in Bethlehem, that are of significance to Catholics, to Orthodox, and so we are looking at what is going on in the Holy Land with intent. Trying to figure out what's going on, and things are not looking good. I got to tell you, here on Jewcast IRL, I've been seeing,
they're not looking good.
No, it's not. I mean, Jonathan Pollard, I watch his podcast avidly because I'm always looking for a different perspective than my own, and he has been warning of a imminent civil war in Israel right now, and that is sketchy, man. Like it's crazy. So
they should overthrow their government immediately.
What's that?
They should have overthrown their government years ago.
Oh, probably.
The Israeli, if you're looking for a civil war, the Israeli government is truly oppressive to the people of Israel. They basically used them as a lab experiment in 2021.
Oh yeah, well, they got the back. Now it's interesting because if I'm not mistaken, and this might get us all in trouble, the vaccine had different effects on the people in Israel than it did in the West. I think that the people that wound up getting the jab in the West are getting a lot of infertility issues. They're getting a lot of cancer issues. They're dying suddenly. And in Israel, I believe that the birth rate has actually gone up.
I had this exact debate with a couple of noticers on Twitter, and they said that the fertility rate went up. And I knew that wasn't true. I looked it up. First thing Google will show you, the fertility rate in Israel went from like 3 to 2.87. It went down. So
wow.
The fertility rate since 2020, when they introduced the COVID vaccine, the fertility rate in Israel has gone down. These two noticers were screaming and arguing that it went up. No, it did not go up. And then they changed their argument to, oh, well, it didn't decrease as much as other nations.
Interesting.
Okay.
Well,
have you considered that maybe these Jewish women weren't in the mood? I mean, they complain about everything. I'm just being real.
That can happen, right? A little Jewish American.
Oh, honey, I got a headache.
It's funny you say that because I was going to talk about this book on this episode. I borrowed this from a friend the other day. You know what Rodney Dangerfield's real name is, Dave?
No, what is it?
Jacob Cohen.
We do own everything. Oh my God. Jesus. Hey, yeah, Jesus. We owned him for a while too, and then he switched.
Switch team.
That is wild.
But you're right. The people in Israel have been used as arguably human shields. They've been experimented on. I mean, I'm of the opinion that the amount of things that had to go wrong for October 7th to take place. It is hard for me to believe that wasn't, and we hear Bibi Netanyahu always talking about how, this was our 9/11. And it's like, have you looked at 9/11? Do you know who did that? That was like an inside job. Okay. Like our own people in our government helped arrange that whole thing. So if October 7th was your 9/11, then why aren't we looking at who the people were in Israel, in the security departments that had the 6-hour stand down, that didn't immediately deploy? Why are we not holding the people that started the Hannibal Directive accountable? These are all like questions that I would expect people to be asking. But no, I'm the anti-Semite. No, I'm the anti-Semite.
No, those are valid questions. I also question that you have an Iron Dome that could fire rockets and hit missiles in the air, yet motherfuckers came in on hang gliders. Like, how do you miss that? It's like, imagine if like a bunch of like El Salvadorians just started jumping over the border and just, I mean, that would, and going into El Paso, like it just, none of that really made that. That's where, But maybe the simple answer is their technology is meant for missiles and not for hang gliders. I don't know. Maybe
I've heard stories of people that have gone over there that say if there's a cricket within 5 miles of the border, they can detect it. Things like that.
Yeah, they've been like that since the 70s. My mom served in IDF, and they were. I mean, their security is tight, as it should be, if they're looking at protecting themselves, right? But yeah, it's hard for me. And again, there could be a great explanation, just like the 9/11 thing. Like, we need to discuss it. And that way, that's the problem, is that when you start discussing these things and people start suppressing that conversation, that just leads people to go off the deep end, where if they just told the truth, or if there is a truth to be told, it would quell all that stuff. Like, imagine, for example, Las Vegas hotel shooting. Remember Las Vegas shooting?
Oh, yeah. Black hole out of the memory hole on that one.
So no, Alan and I know, I'm not going to say how we know, that pretty much the information given is pretty accurate. And I'm not going to say how we know, but because they're being so weird about it, everybody's like, nah, there was multiple gunmen. It was contrived, this, that, and the third. When in reality, it's probably way simpler. But when the government tries to suppress things, when they start suppressing voices like they did, look, they're mad that people are vaccine skeptic now when they did what they did. Of course, so back before, like, my kids got all the vaccines willy-nilly, didn't even question it, didn't even look what the hell was in them. Now it's like, wait, hold on. I need to rethink everything because I don't trust anybody. Right. So when they start suppressing things, that's when people start coming up with theories that gain traction.
Well, I mean, didn't Laura Loomer do some reporting on this? I mean, what do you think about her reporting on it?
What did she report?
Well, I think that she was reporting that it had to do with a hit potentially on Mohammed bin Salman, that there was some sort of a strike team, black helicopters, and maybe I'm just confusing this and mishmashing and putting it all together. I mean, this is one of the things that I've never really gotten to the bottom of. They have that map. It's like the Las Vegas shooting map. And you can go and see every documented piece of security footage and 911 call. And it's like, you'll see, like, on the map, the Mandalay Bay area. And then all the way up the strip, you'll see that there were phone calls about shootings in other hotels that were going on at the same time that we never really heard about. And you can hear the 911 calls. There are other things about, like, black helicopters, silent helicopters, that had been sighted or seen floating near the Mandalay Bay area. What's interesting is I think it was the top 4 floors of the Mandalay Bay is actually the Four Seasons Hotel, and that was owned, I believe, by the Saudi royal family. And there is video footage that I saw of Mohammed bin Salman in Las Vegas at that time being escorted through the hotels. And so I think that there is more to that story. I mean, I think that it's possible that, Stephen Paddock was in on something, but man, now there is a big black hole. And of course, the people that were in charge at that time, I believe he was the head of the police department in Las Vegas, who is now the governor of the state. So if there was anything covered up, he's now in charge of the entire state. So there is some big questions about Las Vegas. Tremendous questions.
I'm looking up right now because I remember there was a crackdown that when Mohammed bin Salman took power, he cracked down on all kinds of Wahhabi imams that had been pushing violence. People forget that there was all this terrorism and violence in the United States before Trump won in 2016. It was all over the place. There was an attack in New York, an attack in Chicago, attack in Fort Lauderdale, all these terrorism attacks. And then Trump did whatever deal he did with Mohammed bin Salman. And then all these people got wrapped up in Saudi Arabia, and the terrorism largely went away. So I looked up to see when these things happened. And Mohammed bin Salman crowned in June 2017, the Las Vegas shooting 2017. So I don't know if it was a backlash to the arrests and all that. But there does seem to
terrorism in Las Vegas. What about the Cybertruck bombing? That thing,
oh my God,
nuked from the news. Haven't heard a thing about it since it happened.
You're right. You're right.
What are you talking about? I've never even heard of it.
Oh my goodness!
Like in Las Vegas.
It was like 2 days before Trump was inaugurated.
Yeah.
Some cyber truck pulls up in front of the Trump Hotel and
Oh,
explodes.
I remember this. Yes, I remember.
Well,
this.
it did show the safety of the Cybertruck is exceptional.
True.
I mean, I would be running ads with that shit. I'd be like, if I were Elon, I'd be like, dude, you can't even blow up a hotel with this shit. Like,
by the way, we promised Dave we're gonna rip on Ben Shapiro, which he rightly deserves. But I just want to say I actually agree with Dave on the idea that the IDF or Netanyahu, that there was insider things happening. There's no way those paragliders came into the country and they had no idea. They knew, and there were some documents that came out recently that Qatar has been funding Hamas, and that Israel knows, and they allow it to happen. They want that to be the opposition in Gaza,
conflict is
so
money.
that they can push back very strong with the military. So,
well, if I can float an idea, we were discussing this on last night's episode. If I'm remembering correctly, it's all a blur anymore. I've just been going nonstop. I just had like a 2.5 hour meeting. Now I'm here. If I could posit a hypothesis here, right after actually Benjamin Netanyahu came back into power, I believe in 2021, a investigation into corruption on his part was begun by, I believe, both the Shin Bet and the Attorney General's office, and it also touched on the Israeli Supreme Court as well. And from what I understand, he is facing up to 10 years in prison for the charges of corruption that have been alleged in Israel by both Shin Bet and the Attorney General. And so is it possible that Netanyahu arranged, orchestrated, or just told the people to stand down to start this fight in an effort to hold on to what political power he still has left in that country, as opposed to going through the trial, being found guilty, and then, being thrown in jail? He has a very big interest in not going to jail. And clearly, war is one of the best ways to get people to stop looking at him and to, be in fear, living in fear, and, not so concerned with the personal corruption of their prime minister, especially if, there's this looming threat of like a bombs or nukes being dropped on them by some hostile Arab actors. So I kind of think that that's what it's about. I think that this is like a last ditch stand for Netanyahu to hold on to power. And, it's costing lives. What do they call them? The Hayalim, right? The fighters on the front lines. I mean, they're dying. They're being killed. And I think that, people in Israel should rightly be looking at Benjamin Netanyahu like, hey, guy, what are you doing? Do you care about our people? Do you care about the Jewish state? I mean, like the way that they've responded after this too has in fact created a lot of like anti-Semitism around the world. And I'm even wondering if from time to time I look at this and it's like you see this like really lowbrow stuff, and it's like you almost wonder, is this being promoted on purpose? Because I think if the numbers are, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think something in the order of 700,000 people have emigrated from Israel and gone back off either to America, Ukraine, all around the world. And so is this being done in America? Are these kind of like lowbrow voices of anti-Semitism being promoted in order to kind of like spurn Jewish people that live here to make Aliyah and to kind of go and bolster the failing state over there? Frankly, it's an interesting question, and one that I don't know the answer to that, but it is interesting.
The ADL has a long history of intentionally promoting anti-Semitism in order to drive up donations to the ADL.
That's so terrible.
As far as a long-term plan with Netanyahu has a long history of anytime he's in trouble politically, some conflict just happens to spark off, and then he's suddenly in better waters politically. So I have no doubt that that's what happened. I hope that he is investigated and prosecuted for letting all of those deaths occur. It's very awful. The idea that those paragliders just got it. It's crazy, and he should be investigated. And then, we're talking. I think finally, I'm not Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro said the other day that JFK, why does it matter, gang? Why does it matter that he was killed? Why does that matter, gang?
That was fucking
you got
awesome.
that
Jesus
down.
Christ, that was perfect.
It's like
Thank
he's
you.
here with us.
It matters, gang, because JFK was the American president, and many, many, many Americans were alive. Right now, Americans were alive when that happened. And so, he tried to compare it to Garfield or McKinley, but it's not ancient history like that. Americans today are alive that witnessed that happen, and then the concerns behind the assassination, the forces that drove that and covered it up, those concerns are much more likely to still be in power today. So Ben Shapiro either isn't as smart as he wants you to think he is because he talks really fast, or he's covering something up, and he really botched it by saying something so stupid. And I wanted to let Dave Reilly rip on that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, man, Ben Shapiro just sucks. If, like people have alleged that he's like an unregistered foreign agent or potentially like a Mossad asset that was, sent to psyop the masses. And if that's true, he's failing at his job. He sucks. He's not fooling anybody. And it's become completely transparent at this point that, and his whole empire is failing now. Jeremy Boring is out. Daily Wire is bankrupt. Thank God.
Are they really bankrupt? Did they file?
I don't know if they filed for bankruptcy yet, but every indication that's coming out of there.
I don't think we can claim that until they actually file, because there are certain stages of business.
Okay, yeah, whatever I need to say to make it legally go away.
No, they could be in, let's say their finances are bad. Let's say their finances are bad. There's many options around it. One is a venture capitalist investment. Another is an acquisition. So normally before a bankruptcy filing, you explore all those other options. There's no doubt they could be exploring that, but there's no reason for me to believe that they're that financially insolvent. I don't know their balance sheet, but I mean, at the end of the day, they don't sell real, it's not a business based on tangible goods. It's a business based on intellectual property. So I'd imagine that it would be really hard, because all you have to do in that case is scale down your IP, right? Like Brett Cooper and whoever else they land, Candace, obviously high ticket items. But if you're not, for example, if I have a warehouse of goods, I have $5 million of goods, and that's that until it sells, I'm sitting on that 5 million. Whereas you have like a Candace Owens and a Matt Walsh, you have a lucrative sponsorship deal system. You also have revenue coming in from Rumble, from YouTube, from X, whatever else you're doing. I'd imagine they do have tangible goods. Doesn't he sell like razors and chocolates and shit? So, yeah. I mean, they're very, very well monetized. It's hard for me to believe that they would get to a situation where they're not solvent. But if they do, that takes a lot of skill to take a company of that magnitude with that many subscribers, to become bankrupt. That would, just looking at it from a businessman's point of view, I'm like, that would be really impressive to fail at that with those subscriptions. I mean, wild.
Jeremy Boring, I think one of the reasons he stepped down, the production that he was the head of, some medieval movie,
right, a 3-part series, wasn't it?
They dumped money into that thing. They're not recouping whatever they put into it. It's not like they're getting more subscribers because of that. I've never seen a clip from it ever. Any good movie, show, anything that does well in 2025, you see clips of it go around, people discuss it. No one has ever discussed this thing that Boring poured millions and millions into, Hollywood level production, except for the fact that nobody's watching it and they're losing a bunch of money over it. So I think he was forced out rather than stepped down, because the things he's doing have been losing money. And I think the acquisition of Timcast that he tried to do, that was allegedly an all stock deal. So they weren't trying to acquire it with money, maybe because they don't have it to spend. Right. So
he was trying to acquire Timcast. Is that confirmed?
Yes. I'm friends with the initial journalist that broke that report over at Media Right News on Twitter. I think is it just at Media Right News. Might be Media Right News 1. I'm not sure. But yeah, he had people within the Daily Wire contacting him and providing evidence that was what was going on. And actually, as much as I don't like Timcast, good on him for having the business savvy to not take an all stock deal. That would
if you take an all stock deal, you need. I mean, I would lose all respect for Tim if he took an all stock deal. That's one of those things. You just you got to get cash at the end of the day, and then
yeah.
So the one thing in business acquisitions is there's usually 2 bites of the apple, if not more. You get your initial sale, and then down the road you get the second sale. That's usually people who acquire usually intermediaries where they buy you, and then their goal is to flip it again. And so, but the goal is do not plan on the second bite of the apple because they're going to find a way to screw you, whether it's fucking with EBITDA or whatever it is. EBITDA is earning before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization. For those who don't know, it's basically your bottom line. So I'm sorry to get all fucking nerdy on this, but this is my jam.
This is a great education, actually.
So I think so honestly, I do think the talks could have took place, but here's the thing. There's been many times that I've sat down and I've been like, you know what? You want to buy? Cool, make an offer. And then they'll offer something silly. I'm like, come on, you're paying for lunch. This is ridiculous, right? So that could have happened, whether they could afford it or not, or their model was just to buy with stock. That's not enough to read in to it. But I will say him stepping down, the God King stepping down is really tough to think that there's not something bigger, and to oust your CEO is hard. Like that's literally a coup.
Right. Here,
That's
I'm going
wild.
to try to pull something up here. I'm not good at talking and typing at the same time, but you guys, I'm sure, know Rabbi Shmuley.
Oh my God! Don't.
No, he's banned from this show. He's not. I don't even call him Rabbi.
I'd love to have him on. That'd be fascinating. That'd be good views.
I don't even want to talk of him.
He came out with this. How am I going to find it? I think he might have me blocked. I'm not sure. No. Here it is. Okay, so let me go. Can I search his profile for Jeremy Boering? Right? Jeremy.
He had some big feud with Jeremy Boring.
Well, he just came out. I saw. Yeah. Oh, here it is. I found it. Here, let me. I think I can go to the. Oh,
I think you can. Can you share?
Not really. Where am I? There we go. Sorry. Trying to get the right thing here. Hold on. Actually, that's not even the right one. This is.
While you're looking things up, I brought this. Do you know who this is, Dave Reilly?
Spider-Man.
No, but in particular, this is the Scarlet Spider. This is the 90s Spider-Man who's said to be a clone of Spider-Man, and his real name was Ben Reilly. So many times when I think of Dave Reilly, spelled the same way as your name, Ben Reilly, the true Peter Parker. Anybody that read 90s comics knows what this is pretty much. This is a great story. And Ben Reilly, brother and cousin of Dave Reilly, I guess.
That is funny.
There's some relation.
I'm going to have to check that out. I was never a comic book kid, unfortunately.
Hey, Dave. Oh, you got it pulled up. Never mind.
Okay. I think I'm sharing. I don't know if you guys have to click something on your end, but it's this tweet from Rabbi Shmuley. And of course,
here it is.
He gets ousted. Anti-Semite Jeremy Boring, who calls rabbis whores, is out at Ben Shapiro's Daily Wire. Nice to see that Ben is finally doing teshuvah repentance after making millions of dollars off of arch anti-Semite real Candace Owens.
Oh my God.
Now let him declare that his petition to release Derek Chauvin, who killed George Floyd, is his own personal crusade and not the Jewish community, blah, 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 blah. But it's just so funny. I'm good with that. But it is just so funny to see this kind of like smear campaign against Jeremy from American
Jew on Jew crime.
Oh my gosh, it's just like, oh, dear, what a mess!
Jewish.
A messy situation, even messier with Rabbi Shmuley.
Is Boring Jewish?
I don't think he is.
I don't think he is.
We don't want to really claim him at this point, Like if he
if
is,
he were
I think
Jewish, he wouldn't have lost all that money on those movies.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely would be within budget. That's for sure. He would be
over deliver, right?
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. We got to go back to the days when the Italians and the Jews made beautiful, good movies together, like the Song of Bernadette, written by a Jewish guy, Franz Werfel, and then brought to life on the silver screen. Man, like we don't make good movies anymore. Now we've just got like Marvel comics over and over again for like the 28th installment, and it's shit.
Have you seen Hacksaw Ridge, Dave?
No, I never did.
Hacksaw Ridge is a great Mel Gibson movie about a Christian who lived his convictions during World War II. And it was such a good film. I looked it up, and it had inevitably a Jewish writer. So, there's a lot of long history of Jews writing great Christian stories and writing great films. And, for all I always say this on the show, like for all the blame that the Jews get, we did this, this, and this. I also want the credit. Like we wrote Hacksaw Ridge. We write a lot of the best Christmas songs.
You guys wrote the New Testament. Come on.
Yeah, give us the credit we deserve. And on that note,
good book.
Stephen Miller was schooling CNN on these activist judges the other day. He absolutely took this CNN host to the woodshed, explaining that some judge doesn't have the right to tell Trump what to do as far as deportations. That's the executive branch. You can't mess with that. He has the absolute power to decide what to do as far as deportations go. And they wanted to stop the deportation of these Venezuelan gang members. And then now, this is what I want your opinion on, Dave. They're deporting people like, I forget her name, something very foreign that is hard for me to even remember. They're deporting this girl, and I've seen a lot of noticers very upset about this. Are you upset that these foreigners are being deported? These anti-America people, are you upset that they're being deported?
Well, so there's the one that I'm aware of is the Mohammed Khalil, I think is his name, or
the British agent.
The British agent, allegedly, who was at Columbia University, I guess, organizing protests there. He came to America. He was on a green card. He's here legally. He can't vote, but he has all the other rights that are, allegedly afforded to American citizens. I am nervous that this, it makes me very nervous because I think that there is a group of people in the government, not just Jews, also Christian Zionists, that want to crack down on free speech, that want to put people like me in jail. And so they've been selling this kind of line, I think, to middle America that, hey, look, if we do these things and we enact these laws, we're going to deport all these Muslims. Don't you want that? And everyone's like, yeah, we want that. But I think that there could be, bigger ramifications for average people in the middle of America who don't want their children to be sent to another Middle Eastern war that's going to drag on for another 20 years and send a bunch of body bags back home. So I think that there is room. Phil Giraldi did a great segment on Judge Napolitano yesterday about this, that the attack on free speech by the Zionists. And so I am concerned at what I am seeing in that sense. And I'm also pissed off that, I got stabbed by a Venezuelan in my arm, right arm, actually, when I was.
No shit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I got stabbed by a Venezuelan, had to go to the hospital, get stitches, the whole thing. And so it's we're letting these criminals into our country, and we should be able to get rid of them. We should be able to send them to the El Salvador supermax that Nayib Bukele has built down there. And, it is incredible to me, this idea that a judge, and usually unelected, I think these people are mostly appointed, if I'm not mistaken, judges have the ability to unilaterally basically wield more power than the president of the United States. I don't think that's a republic. I don't think that's even democracy. This is this kind of juristocracy that has taken root here. And, it is upsetting to see how many millions of illegals, 20, 30, 40 million illegals here in this country. And we can't do anything about that. We can't send them home despite executive orders, despite all of this, intelligence coming from the Border Patrol. All because one judge, who I believe his wife was working for an immigrant or immigration service. And how is that not a conflict of interest that would prevent this judge from making such a ruling? So I think there are some serious problems there that need to be considered. But I think that this idea of deporting people because of their opinions on American foreign policy, that's scary to me. Now, whether or not Mohammed Khalil was some sort of a British agent,
it's a little more that he didn't like the foreign policy though. He's basically he was inciting people to do shit. It's a little bit more than that, right?
Well, he was never actually charged with a crime. He wasn't charged with a crime.
But you're here on a green card. I honestly, you're here on a green card. You shouldn't be involved in any shit.
Well,
Yeah.
there's argument to be made there. True. I mean, if I was living in Ireland, I would not.
I mean, if this was any other country in the world, not only would you getting deported would be the best bet for you if this was any other country in the world. That's the problem right now.
Take away the free speech argument, because she's not like Khalil and Rumeysa Ozturk. They're not Americans, so we're not talking about freedom of speech in regards to them. And I don't think that there's going to be, like in Germany or Canada, laws passed to lock up Americans for like Facebook posts talking about the Holocaust or something like that. I don't think that's on the way. I don't even think war with Iran is on the way. Take those things away. Do you really have any objection to Rumeysa Ozturk and Mohammed Khalil, or whatever the hell his name is? Do you have any objection to those people being deported?
Well, first, this is my first time I'm seeing. So this is a CNN article that I'm reading from. Ozturk is one of seven foreign nationals affiliated with the prestigious American university to be arrested for purported activities related to terrorist organizations amid the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. They include Mohammed Khalil, a prominent Palestinian activist taken into custody this month outside of his Columbia University apartment. Ozturk, quote, engaged in activities in support of Hamas, a Department of Homeland Security spokesperson said Wednesday in a statement, without specifying what those alleged activities are. I mean, I would like to see people charged with a crime first.
Even if they're not really a citizen. So here's my thing.
Well, go ahead.
These protests were extremely violent. They took over campuses. They broke into buildings. They broke shit. They burned shit in some cases. They were terrorizing other students. If people did the same thing for Israel, I would be saying the same thing. If there was an Israeli green card holder who was on campus, broke into a building, started breaking shit, and ran amok on his community, I'd be like, send his Jewish ass back. I'd be like, send him and his fucking 13-inch nose back to Israel. That's what I would say. I would say it. Send him, fucking put his foreskin in a little suitcase, get him out there.
I am inclined to agree with you, but I'm going to get canceled by the Jews. I'm having a hard time hanging up this idea of the free speech and like parking that at the door. I'm having a difficult time not
I hear you
from that perspective.
I understand that.
I hear you. There shouldn't be any speech laws. I hear you. But
let's talk about Romania. Let's make a hypothetical situation.
Hang on a second, because I hear you. I really do about because I'm a free speech absolutist. Like, you should be able to say any fucking hateful shit you want, and then we know, right? I'm a constitutionalist more than anything, and I'm also an atheist, so I'm not tied to the same religious stuff you are. I grew up Catholic, anything like that. But what I got to say is, if you are at a protest waving a flag of a different country and you're here on a green card, you should get the fuck out immediately. Immediately. Like, we should throw you in the back of a van and fucking take you to the airport. The problem is, America has for so long decided that we are just going to be the fucking softies of the fucking world. And people may not agree with that, but they play on our emotions all the time. The world is a hard world. If you've ever been around the world, which I know you gentlemen have, the world is a hard world. America sugarcoats every fucking thing. If you came to this country, applied for a green card, not only should you speak the language, not only should you be all for America, if you are flying somebody else's flag, you can get the fuck out. We should rescind that shit right now. Fuck. If you all of a sudden end up at a protest for another country and you are a fully legalized citizen, but you were not born here, get the fuck out. I'm America. I'm not America first. I'm America only. Same. Right. Same. So literally like America only.
And we've been seeing this happen with these Mexicans. I've seen protests down south in Texas, in Arizona, where these people are taking over the streets. They're waving Mexican flags. They're saying "Viva la Raza," and the Border Patrol is not doing anything. And so I guess maybe just the most infuriating thing is that when someone waves the Palestine flag, they get rounded up and all procedure is broken. People are going out of their way to not, release all of the information. But then when someone in Mexico or New Mexico or Texas is waving a Mexican flag saying "Viva la Raza," nothing happens. Absolutely nothing happens. Nobody locks in. And
that contradiction right there, that is where the solution comes from, though. Because the problem isn't that we're deporting Rumeysa Ozturk or Mohammed Khalil. whatever pretext it takes to get rid of them, we should get rid of them. I don't want H-1B Indians here either. Like, we need to deport a lot of people. The problem isn't that they're deporting Rumeza Ozturk. The problem is they're not deporting, like you say, these Mexicans parading in the street with the Mexican flag. They're not deporting enough of the Central Americans. Like, we need to turn up I love Trump, but we should be turning up the heat on him. Hey, you want to win the midterms? You want your legacy to stand strong? Like, you need to press on Tom Homan or Kristi Noem or whoever it is to get those deportation numbers up into the millions and millions and millions. Yes. I'm so tired of hearing libtards come and tell me, Obama had higher deportation numbers. Like, yes. Trump is failing. Like, yes. Trump has to get these numbers up, and we should put the pressure on him. But saying, Rumeza Ozturk has free speech, that actually goes against getting more deportations. That's our own people standing in the way of some of these deportations. And I want them gone. I want Rumeza Ozturk gone, and I want the Central Americans that don't belong here gone. So that's what the focus needs to be, is he's not deporting Mexicans. Not that he is deporting some Rumeza Ozturk. Who cares?
The thing that I think people haven't even thought through yet, that I really wish somebody would tell the Trump administration, because my co-host Vince James has done the numbers. And if we deport 30 million illegal aliens, which they are here, they need to be deported, housing prices would go back to pre-COVID levels. Housing would become affordable. And if we have affordable housing again, people are going to start having babies again. And we're going to be able to reignite the industry and economy of America, which has been failing and completely hollowed out. And I am very concerned about a potential financial collapse if actions aren't taken. And so I think that, we need to be deporting a lot more people. I will agree with you there.
I agree 100%. Can we all agree that Kristi Noem looks hot as fuck right here? I mean, can we reach, and can we at least all agree on that?
As lovely as it is that Kristi and Pam Bondi, they look really good on Fox News or whatever, they need to do more of their job. I like Pam Bondi, but
I like the tight shirts. I'm good.
I want to see Pam Bondi get more arrests of these deep state people. And I want Kristi Noem, as good as she looks right there, to get more illegals out of the country.
You just have too many demands. Like, we got to meet in the middle. I think white shirt, perky boobs, however old. I mean, I'm MAGA. Like, let's go.
I'm gonna have to tell my wife not to watch this episode.
It's just
dude,
me.
You should never be on our other shows then.
Hey, we have it. Yeah, it's just look, man. If you don't know, Alan and our original show together was called the ADHD Hour, and we are our minds go places that shouldn't go.
Bad. But hey, we were talking about the deportations, and I'm gonna have to run here in a couple minutes. I got to set up for my wife to teach a class. But if we really want to increase the deportation rate, first of all, I do believe that the goal was that they're going for the violent people right now, which is really, I'm just saying this, that's a fucking excuse. All right, like that's an excuse to slow walk shit, if you ask me, because you should be rounding these people up in trucks. But we just need to make it so unbelievably unbearable to be here that they leave, like they self-deport too. Because very frankly, we should be seizing the resources of any company that employs illegal aliens. We should be jailing the CEOs of companies that employ illegal aliens. I mean, this as an America-only aspect. If you are employing basically slave labor from another country, because that's what it is, you know that you get to pay them fucking dirt cheap for what they do. When the Democrats were coming at us like, well, who's going to pick your fucking fruit? Like, think about that shit. Like, you are basically talking about slaves, right? And we should just send them back to their country so they don't need to be slaves. I'm not saying they're not going to be poor as fuck and there might not be problems for them, but that's not our problem. I mean, the concept of, self-deportation is what will help us. We're never going to round up 20 or 30 million people in this fucking country.
Right. What's really interesting,
we need to make it unbearable and unlivable for them. That's what we need to do.
We've had, I mean, I live in Idaho, right? And Idaho is known as one of the reddest states in the country. It is through and through. Donald Trump won by like a 70% margin. And guess what? Just this week in the Idaho legislature, Republicans killed a bill that would have made E-Verify mandatory. This is what we're dealing with. It's absolutely astounding. And it's because, the big ag, the dairy farmers, whoever else, I guess the potato farmers, right? They're all employing this illegal. Why don't we have like machines out there in these fields at this point? I mean, like we've got AI, we've got robotics. Why do we need slave labor anymore? It's time to enter the 21st century, send these people back. Enable E-Verify, enable mass deportations, fund not CPS, CBP, right? Customs and Border Patrol. But and I was talking with the sheriff of my county maybe a year ago, and he was like, "There's nothing we can do. We find an illegal. What are we going to do?" And now, granted, this was under Biden, so I'm hoping that things. There's the 284G program that I think local sheriffs can enroll in, where they are able to like start arresting and detaining illegal aliens. So that's something to make sure that your sheriff is signed on to the CBP 284G program.
Okay.
But yeah, we need to be deporting more. I want more.
Hey, gentlemen, Dave, pleasure to meet you. I sent you a message, and I'll send you another message too. I'd love to have further conversation with you, gentlemen. I got to run. Been a pleasure. Good. See you next week.
All right. Hey, so, I completely agree on 99%, if not 100%. Look, so the reason I like the El Salvadorian camps is that it shows that really bad things will happen if you come in here illegally. So unfortunately, the first people have to be set example. So, they're rounding up basically brown people with tattoos, it appears. I don't know, but I don't think it's indiscriminate. I really think they're rounding up people who have some stuff, and they're sending them out in the hopes that other people look and they say, oh, we probably are better off where we came from. And that's what I'm looking at. Look, America is a great place, but we have to look at what's happening in Europe. Europe's completely falling apart. You got rape gangs. It's crazy stuff. And we really need to be careful about doing that. And unfortunately, elections do have consequences. That's why I don't get these libertarian folks who didn't vote at all. Well, I am voting, or they voted for that. Who is that moron they ran?
Chase Oliver.
Chase. So
I don't even know that name.
Oh my God, nobody did. He got less votes than RFK, and RFK dropped out. He got less votes than Jill Stein. And the idiot still thinks he's a leader. I despise that guy because he's an idiot. I don't like stupid people. And so the problem is you need to vote. I know everybody's like, I refuse to vote for the lesser evil. Well, there's no politician you're ever going to completely align with. And guess what? Everybody has special interests. It's just part of the game. I met with a group out here who wanted me to run for office. And I'm like, I'm going to self-fund. They're like, you can't afford it. I'm like, I've done pretty well in life. I think I can. And they're like, no, here, let us go over the costs. And I'm like, holy shit, just to run for like a state office, you're in the seven figures.
Yeah, easily.
And so you have to take the special interest money to run. And in turn for that, you have to be favorable to what they need. Now, the goal is to go for the candidate who has the special interest money from people you more agree with. So if one's getting from Act Blue, where BLM money went directly towards, I'm probably not going to vote for that person no matter who they are. If someone's getting Soros money, probably not going to vote for that person. The good thing about Trump, he's the closest thing to somewhat autonomous as we've seen. Sure, you can argue Pfizer. I don't even think that was for the money. I think Trump really thought he was going to save the world with a vaccine. And at that time, people were like, man, we need a vaccine or everybody's going to die. So he put in Operation Warp Speed, and Trump has so big of an ego that he's like, it was still a great idea, but I don't even care about the vaccine. I care about the mandates. Yeah. I'm a bodybuilder, dude. I'm not against people injecting things. It's what we do. So if you're gonna have a vaccine that people can take optionally, that's not required by any job, anything, it's actually illegal to do that. Yeah, I'm fine with that. But if you start mandating things, that's the issue. And Trump was never a mandated kind of guy. So that's all I cared about. So everybody's like, how could you vote for Trump after you so outspoken about COVID? I'm like, well, because I'm not against the vaccine. I'm not. I thought it was pretty cool that we came out with something that quick. The problem is, and also mRNA is a really cool technology. I just think we made it too soon, and we didn't vet it with the proper. So hell no.
Okay.
I would hell no. I don't know, but I was actually, the reason I really got into politics is because I refused to, I have a protein bar called the Outright Bar. and I refuse. And I actually pulled out of a 8-figure deal.
Wow.
Because they required they basically made it really tough for their employees to not get it. And I was like, can't do business with you. And that's when I kind of got thrust into X. Before I was just happy talking about doing push-ups and pull-ups and shit and making gains. And now all of a sudden I'm getting fucking death threats from the left.
You hear that, Dave? A Jew turning down the money.
Hey, it happens.
Hey, but I'm a rogue Jew. Like, just look at it that I'm Jewish by descent. I'm not a religious Jew like Andrew, so I'm also, at the end of the day, I'm an American. I don't identify as a Jewish American. I identify as American. That's it. If you're black, you're gold, you're brown, you're blue. If you're an American, you're one of me. That's how I look at America right now. You're my brother. I don't play that shit. As long as you love your country and you want what's best for your country, I'm on your team. So that's how I always looked at things. I never looked at it through a Jewish American standpoint. And honestly, I did go through, I grew up in Simi Valley, California, back in the 90s. The KKK was pretty big there. Ice Cube had a lyric in his song, SIMI Valley of the KKK. Literally, it was a thing. My mom owned a cookie store, and 2 doors down, the guy who owned the camera shop was actually a Klansman. Legit. Wow. So I did experience anti-Semitism as a kid because my mom, she's from Israel. She's wearing that fucking star big on her chest. And I'm like, and I did, but everybody goes through shit. Then I moved to a mostly black community, and then I got fucking discriminated. I got bullied for being white. So it's like, at the end of the day, everybody's going to have adversity. Whatever race you are, whatever culture you are, whatever religion you are, you're going to face adversity. Catholics, y'all got it when the priest got caught up in that shit.
Oh yeah.
So I know you felt it. Nobody is free of discrimination and adversity. Nobody. There's always going to be human tribalism. So it's going to exist. So I always look at things through a myopic, America first, America only standpoint. So when I see Zionism, I see it as and this is the definition that it's actually defined as, where I see it as the belief that Israel has the right to exist as a state. Some people, the definition has expanded to people who are Israel first. So if you're a Zionist, you're Israel first. I think that's a geopolitical issue. I think you can be a Zionist and be America first, and also be America only, because it's just the belief that they should have the right to exist. And the way I look at it, every land in our world has been conquered. At the end of the day, however they did it, whether it was America's help, Britain's help, whoever it was, Israel won the last battle. It's their land until someone takes it over. I don't think we should give any of them money. I don't think Israel should get a dime from America. They're operating a surplus. They have national health care, more benefits than we do. I don't think we should give Hamas or Palestine or whatever. I don't think anybody should get a dime of our money. I'm an America only kind of guy. Let them sort their own shit out.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting, because I think that there are some people that are so hyper fixated and focused on Israel that, they are kind of screwing America over. And yes. I think that is causing and going to continue to cause more blowback on, Jewish communities over here, even the ones that are like the new Terry Carta, for crying out loud. Mm-hmm. They're going to get scapegoated, I think. It's possible. Right. And I think that, if there are patriotic Jews out there, then get on Team America, because otherwise, I just don't see things going very well. And,
you're right.
I think that war with Iran is imminent. I disagree with Andrew on that. I mean, I think we sent out some stealth bombers the other day. We've got some vessels headed over there in the sea. It looks like we're gearing up for that. And, I think we've also got a financial collapse on our hands too, right? I mean, the United States weaponizing the dollar, weaponizing the treasuries against Russia has basically left other countries not wanting to take on U.S. debt. And as we all know, Ponzi schemes require more money going in than coming out. And so with Donald Trump, he did put that America First executive order on investments, asking the People's Republic of China basically to dump out of the QQQ and some of these other ETFs. Well, if foreign countries are no longer buying our treasuries, they're no longer buying our stocks, that could very well lead to a depression. And right. We're going to be facing some things at home, and I'm definitely not one of these people that is. I try not to do the racial hatred, nonsense of like, look at this black guy, blah blah blah. Because I think that a lot of that is just a distraction to get people fueled with petty hatreds. And no longer looking at the wider problem that I think is going to hit all of us equally hard. I really don't think, I think that it's going to hit the investment bankers and Epstein's cohorts, over at Deutsche Bank and JP Morgan Chase. I think it's going to hit them a lot harder than regular Americans, but still, it could lead to a situation that is not good for this country. And so I think people need to pull their head out of their ass and start putting America first.
I think
absolutely.
If we don't, bad times are coming.
I think this is why Trump is racing to get all these foreign investments as fast as he can. Hyundai just announced, what is it, 200 billion or whatever it is.
Yeah, 21 billion. Yeah, it was a lot of money.
He's getting as much capital investment into America as he can while the dollar is at a very high mark. So I think that Trump, if there's anything his long history in business has taught him, and then taught him well, is that he can turn around a financial crisis. If there's any president that's going to do it, it's going to be him. I do agree that is a looming crisis. It's a bubble that we've pushed under the water so many times that it's either got to come up and explode in all of our faces, or something else has to be done to capture it and put it away. And I think Trump is doing anything that can be done to stop that. But the thing I really wanted to tell you, Dave, is the hyper focus on Israel and it hurting America, it cuts both ways. Both the people that are super obsessed with like, oh, we need to pass anti-Semitism laws and we need to give money and weaponry to Israel. Like, that focus is obviously detrimental to America. But so is the focus on what's Israel doing? What are they doing now? Like, the one topic that I wanted to talk to you about that we never got to, I'll use him as an example for this, is Kanye West. Kanye West has the ability to put millions and millions and millions of eyeballs on anything that he wants. He used it recently to put it on his wife walking around nude. I wasn't a big fan of that. I didn't enjoy that. But more to the point, he's hyper focused on Jews all of the time. If he took 1/5, 1/4 of the attention that he puts on, the Jewish question, if he took some of that attention and put it on, hey, why isn't Trump deporting all these people he said he was going to? It'll help housing prices. It'll help Americans. If he were hyper focused on fixing America rather than Jews or Israel, he would do a lot more for America. So I think that hyper focus on Israel, it cuts both, whether you're for Israel or against Israel. Hyper focusing on Israel is bad for America.
Well, I mean, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying, but at the same time, look at it from his shoes, right? I mean, he's been mistreated by members of the Jewish community, people that have threatened to take his children away, threatened to drug him up and put him in a hospital. I have also been, for the past 8 years, on the receiving end of something called transnational repression. You can Google that on the FBI's website. Transnational repression is basically where like a foreign government will act through its diaspora of people to silence a critic of that government. And I've been dealing with that up here, actually, even in Idaho. And so when that happens, it does have it does make the victim kind of hyperfixate on who's doing this to them. And
kind of like the Jews in the Holocaust.
Well, and so I think that, to ask Kanye West to do any, I mean, he's a musician, he's a genius, he's going to do what he's going to do. And I think that he is doing the best with what he's got. And frankly, his new album is really good. It's actually like really good. The drums are very subtle and understated. The samples are like really, I mean, he was digging deep in the vinyl for that stuff. I really liked it. And the little the wrestling thing that he did was pretty cool. I don't really have a line to Kanye West. I can't tell him what to do.
I love his music.
But he makes
I'm sorry. I still listen to his shit. High School Dropout. It's always on my gym playlist. Always. I look, man, if I only listened to music and watched movies from people that I am actually aligned with politically,
You wouldn't.
I would be
anything. Yeah.
There'd be like 3 country songs and maybe some fucking polka or Christian rock, and that's it. I mean, maybe. Do you know if Creed's on our team? I can listen to Creed. That's like divorced dad music.
Creed.
Yeah. So
style. Maybe we can get an AI to make some polka style Creed. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I can't. But I mean, you can't. You just can't base your entertainment choices on who you align with. Kanye is immensely talented, probably the most talented artist in music of our generation.
Yeah.
And so just because he okay, does anybody ever realize that to be that talented at something, you have a screw loose? Like, he is so good at that. Name one genius in history who hasn't been nuts. Look at Einstein. Einstein was out of his fucking mind.
Tesla.
Like, oh my God, these people are. Elon's kind of weird, like little kooky. You know, I mean, anybody with that. I'm glad I'm stupid, because at least I'm not like crazy weird. But yet Kanye has never been right. And when his mom died, something clicked, and he just went off the deep end, and that was his catalyst. And he'll never be right. I don't see Kanye being fixed. And his focus right now, he found something that gets him attention, and that's, you know, having a Super Bowl ad and having him go to a site and buy swastika shirts.
True.
He ran a Super Bowl ad that he filmed.
Do you know how much those are going to go for on eBay in like a month? They'll be like $2,000 a shirt. The amount of money making that could have been had there is a huge opportunity.
He made his money back, though. He filmed a selfie for the most expensive commercial on TV and probably had the best pulling ad of the entire Super Bowl. That's what's
incredible.
wild.
That's incredible.
Look, Kanye he's a genius. Yep. People who are geniuses are weird, and his target right now is the Jews. And it started out like, and look what he said. I was on a reality TV show back in the 2015 area. I was on American Grit. Everybody in Hollywood's Jewish. All 7 people who put me on the show were Jewish.
Yeah,
they were. Hollywood is a lot of Jewish people. So his initial message was like, yeah, dude, you know, a lot of Jewish people really did me wrong. And then he kind of kept getting pushed and prodded. And then he was like, well, you know, I'm just going to go after the entire group. And because he's not right in the head. So I'm not by any means taking up for what he said, but I'm saying when a crazy person says something, you kind of just realize they're a little bit crazy. And if your actions are influenced by Kanye, you're crazy and you're gonna do something stupid anyway.
Yeah. Well, to that I'll say there were a lot of Americans that were influenced by his album Jesus is King that became more devout Christians that turned to the faith. And I think both he was doing better and his music was better when that was his vibe. Like, I heard the new album, Dave. It's not a bad album. It's definitely got some hits on it. But Jesus is King was a superior album, and that was a superior vibe for him. And I don't give him any kind of pass that, oh, he's a victim. I don't give Jews or anybody else a victim pass. You know, everybody, and this is a good lesson for everybody. Everybody can focus on things and build, and staying in victim consciousness is not healthy, is not good. Better to focus on, for Christians especially, focus on Christ. When Kanye was doing that, he made better music. He was on a better vibe. And that take that example and extend that to everybody else.
I was going to say it goes the same for the black pillars out there too, right? I mean, there are people out there that black pill about how bad our country is, how we're not in control, how we're not able to make these deportations happen, how our foreign policy seems to be led by people like Miriam Adelson or whatever. And so they black pill, and then they just basically give up on life and say, oh, well, I can't do it because of X. And it's like, don't do that. Like, now is the time to build, you know, focus on your craft. You know, I'm a big proponent of Bitcoin. So if you believe the financial system is corrupt and rigged and run by the Jews, then get some Bitcoin and focus on your craft, build a company, sell your products for Bitcoin, you know, check out of the financial system, you know, do something about it, you know, make your life better. And so I do think that there is a lot of people out there that kind of cope. And they don't try to excel. They don't try to rise above. They don't. They look at the adversity and they just give up. And I think that that's a mistake for everybody. And that goes for every American, white, brown, brack. Is that a color? Brack?
It is now.
You just made it.
You know, so
half Mexican, half black.
Yeah, and so I think that the message should be positive, and that, you know, build shit. You could just do things. You can just do things.
Before we get out of here, Dave, what are the 2 books you got lined up there for everybody to see?
Yes, this was an interesting discussion on the show. The first one is by a good friend of mine, Father James Maudsley, If You Believed Moses. And Andrew, maybe I'll have to buy a copy and send it to you. It's an interesting book, basically going through the Torah and then revealing how it found its fulfillment in the New Testament. And that if you truly believed Moses, you would believe that Christ is king. And then this one is interesting. It is The Popes and the Jews in the Middle Ages, which was written in 1965 by Edward Sinan. And I think that this is an interesting book, too, because it talks about the way that Catholics and Jews are supposed to interact and live with one another in a peaceful way, where we are not doing violence to one another. We're not defrauding one another, that the Jews should be left unmolested. But that also means that they shouldn't try to subvert Christianity and subvert Christian teaching, doctrine, and practices. And in return for that, we should be good neighbors and love our enemies, even the Jews.
I would like a copy of. I'd like a copy of that one. And speaking of the popes and the Jews, we've discussed this one many times, Dave.
Yes, I know.
Did you know the first printing of the Zohar was authorized by Pope Pius IV in 1558? That is correct.
That's interesting. I haven't gotten quite to the bottom of it, but Alexander Dugin has been going off about the Zohar, basically saying that it was the introduction of the Aristotelian method to the Jewish faith. And I think that is an interesting take on it.
He's got it the other way around. Newton even said Plato took all his ideas from the Jews. Plato, the teacher of Aristotle. The golden mean is the central column. There's the 3-column system, very fundamental to Kabbalah. So trust me, we didn't take it from Aristotle. They took it from us. And Benjamin Franklin was part of bringing the first Zohar to America in 1772. And he wanted this taught all over America. So there is a deep history of the Zohar that has been hidden and that we should talk about some other time.
That is interesting. Yeah, I've never read it, never cracked it open, never looked inside. So I can't really comment.
The soul of the Torah. And we should have me on the Backlash. Have me and Mark on the Backlash. That'll be a fun show.
Maybe what we'll have to do is we'll have to bring you guys up this summer and we can go out on a nice boat ride. We'll get
I'm down.
Hamburger, hang out at the resort, maybe get a little a massage, not an Epstein massage, no happy endings up here.
Whoa, hey.
I love me some Idaho. I love that state. I haven't been there in a while, but I love it. And if you're ever in the Nashville area, just if you're not seeing Ben Shapiro, you come visit me.
Yeah, that'd be great. Nashville, one of the big centers of the recording industry.
I live in Brentwood. I'm a border city. I'm where I'm like where all the musicians go to die. Like after their career's over.
Nice.
It's a beautiful area. You'd love it here. But anyway, so where can people buy your stuff?
I don't really have stuff. I don't have stuff. The books.
How can they support you?
Well, you could watch the Backlash. We have some sponsors for that show. One of them being this company, North Idaho Tallow. They make
nice.
This one's unscented for people going hunting.
I use tallow on my face every night before bed.
Yeah, we have. Maybe I'll have to send you a little care package. We've got tallow balm. For beards, for your face.
Yep, I use that stuff.
So one of the ways that you can help support the work that we do up here is by going to idahotallow.com.
idahotallow.com.
Our podcast. So thanks.
Is that yours, or is there a code they can use so you get credit for it? Or
I think there is. Probably if you just plug in Backlash, that might work. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Promo code Ben Shapiro.
Oh, there we go.
That'd be a great code.
We can make a special promo code for the show. Jewcast IRL.
That'd be great. Well, we greatly appreciate you coming on, brother, and
we'd
love to have you back on. And anything you need from us, just let us know. We will be your. And if you ever need any favors, like we own the world, so just let us know.
Well, there you go. I'll definitely take advantage of that.
All right, brother. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day, man.
Thanks, Dave.